Coming up on the travel show.
We're finding out what's at the bottom of Venice's most popular canals.
There's something really big on the line here. It looks really, really heavy.
We meet the chef bringing a comforting taste of Ukraine to London.
Welcome to my kitchen.
Thank you.
And Lucy checks out the latest tech designed to inject more fun into festival season.
I just love the fact that I can film hands-free effortlessly, I can listen to music, I can make and receive calls on these things.
We start this week in one of Europe's most breathtakingly beautiful destinations, Venice, in northeast Italy. This city on water is made up of over 100 islets, interconnected by a labyrinth of picture-perfect canals and elegant bridges.
Life around here has remained the same for hundreds of years, and steadfast through that time have been the gondoliers of Venice. They see themselves as custodians of the city. Today, there are only 400 gondoliers left, and they're almost exclusively used by tourists.
It's 40 years.
40
years ago I started. I entered before because I passed a test at 18, 19 years old. Later working for my father a little bit in the summer vacation.
So it was in the family?
Si. I'm seventh generation gondolier.
With the local population of around 50,000 people, dwarfed by 20 million visitors every year, Ferruccio and his fellow gondoliers aren't short of a customer or two. And while that's good for business, the numbers swelling the main tourist areas inevitably create a huge problem. Increased pollution, including discarded junk clogging up the famous waterways. But now some of the gondoliers who ply their trade in the 276 canals are doing something about it. They hope to solve at least some of the problem with a voluntary initiative to perform regular underwater canal cleanups.
Or what gave you the idea to start cleaning the canals?
About 3 years ago, we were working in gondola, the water not too much deep, and I see many tires and the rest.
Right.
We start in the February 2019, and we bring about 1,000 kilograms in the first time.
Dredging up tons of rubbish, ranging from shopping trolleys to car tires, is a mammoth and potentially dangerous task. So the men are given bespoke training. They dive using specialist equipment in order to operate safely. And early on Sunday morning, long before tourists arrive, I'm joining the guys for the real deal.
That's one hardcore scuba diving suit. There's not one bit of skin showing. Now, I've dived before. I'm not sure I'd want to go into the canals of Venice, as lovely as they are.
I want to find out what the newly trained canal cleaners have to contend with.
Stefano.
Okay, so what is all this? The heart of the operation.
The teams have to stay in constant communication. It's crucial to help the guys underwater cope with the difficult conditions.
It must be very dark and gloomy. Can you see?
10 centimeters, 20.
That's it?
Maybe no.
Wow.
Touch,
Oh, okay. You go by feel down there. So Stefano, how often do you do this? Every Sunday?
Not every Sunday, no, just in the winter.
Ah,
Because in the summer I have to traffic,
right.
many gondolas, many taxi workers.
I see.
You know, today is special because in this canal don't drive too many boats.
Much of today's catch is all too familiar.
Many bottles.
Lots of bottles.
Drinking the guys in the night time. You know?
Yeah.
I walk, you jump in the bottle empty in the canal.
Right.
Since the cleanup began, some 4,000 carelessly discarded bottles have been retrieved. But later, a baffling object rears its head and has everyone mystified.
There's something really big on the line here. It looks really, really heavy. There's about 3 of them trying to pull it out. What is that? Oh my goodness. It's a trolley. It's probably somebody's luggage from about 20 years ago that went off into the canal. Look, it's been down there for so long. It's covered in barnacles and slime and sludge.
Yeah.
Is that coral? No, it's a sponge.
No, sponges. These are sponges.
Wow.
Heavy sponges.
Another,
Oh, there's a rope.
yes.
What's it like down there?
Mud.
Is it dangerous down there?
The equipment they use is a full protection against pollution because the problem is not really the water itself, but the mud. The mud is laying in the canals years after years and is full of bacteriological and chemical pollution.
But what about the gondoliers when they are working? Is it difficult if there's rubbish?
Yes, yes. When the tide is low, they feel something in the water that is not the real seafloor, you know?
Yeah.
Canals must be cleaned. To transfer this idea to the public is very important, and also for the sensibility of people living in Venice and also tourists, that they don't have to throw things in the canals.
Once the rubbish has been retrieved, gondoliers hand it over to the local council to dispose of it correctly. It's been an impressive haul today, and that's just from one trip. So with another 200 or more canals to go, something tells me they've got a lot to keep them busy for some time yet. So next time you're enjoying a leisurely ride along the waterways of Venice, spare a thought for the gondoliers who donate their time to clean up the canals, even if they haven't mastered singing underwater yet.
And if you're interested in a few days in Venice in the near future, here's a roundup of the best the city has to offer.
All through the summer to November is the 59th Venice Biennale. As the name suggests, the contemporary art exhibition runs every 2 years. But due to COVID, there's been a 3-year gap. This year is heavily weighted towards women, with 90% of the main exhibition given over to female artists. Burano is a picturesque island in the Venetian lagoon, famous for its handmade lace and colourful homes. Go for a few hours in the morning or afternoon to wander around and take in the tranquility and calm away from the hustle of central Venice. Whatever you do, don't forget your camera. From Burano, you could then stop into Murano on your way back. This island is famous for its glassmaking, which is considered a fine art. It dates back to 1291, when the Venetian government ordered glassmakers in Venice to relocate to Murano to avoid causing a huge fire. You could even find a workshop to try your hand at the craft. As we reported last month, from January 2023, you'll have to pay a daily charge to enter if you aren't spending the night in the actual city itself. Overnighters already pay a city tax at the hotel, But for day trippers, you'll need to pre-book your slot and pay through an app. Prices will vary between 3 and 10 euros per person, depending on how busy it is.
Still to come on the travel show.
Rajan meets the restaurateurs bringing hope to Ukrainian refugees in London.
I think the food can find a way just in the middle of the heart.
It's that time of year again where summer is in full flow in many countries around the world, which means one thing. Festival season is finally upon us, and after seeing cancellations of some of the biggest festivals over the past 2 years due to COVID, I am more than ready to put on my boots and visit a campsite or two. To me, a music festival is the perfect place to unplug and unwind, all to the soundtrack of some banging tunes. I have spent way too much time on my sofa in recent years, so I feel a bit loath to sacrifice my home comforts, even if it is just for the weekend. And if you feel the same way I do, help is at hand as I take a look at some of the best gadgets to chuck into your rucksack this summer season. So first up is your festival accommodation. I've got the Quechua 2-second 3XL. Now, if you weren't in the Scouts or the Girl Guides, which I definitely wasn't, then camping might not be your thing. But this tent has the potential to become a firm festival favourite. That's because, as the name implies, it apparently pops up in just 2 seconds. So let's put that to the test. Start your stopwatches. So it didn't quite go up in 2 seconds, but I think that has more to do with the person putting up the tent than the actual tent itself. But now it's up, it's pretty spacious in here, whether you want to keep it all to yourself or share it with 2 of your friends. And what will feel like an absolute godsend is the special lining that blocks out both heat and light, which will be more than needed after a night of partying. Right, I think it's time to check out some headliners. Don't you just love going to a festival nowadays and seeing your favourite act through a sea of phone screens in front of you? But there's a new gadget designed to make the way we watch live music change forever. These new Ray-Ban stories are designed to keep you in the moment and keep your followers up to date thanks to these nifty cameras that happen to link up to your social media. And with a quick click or two, you have photos and videos sent to your phone ready to upload. I just love the fact that I can film hands-free effortlessly, I can listen to music, I can make and receive calls on these things. Now, of course, filming stealthily on a pair of glasses is not without its privacy issues, which is why you'll see a tiny little LED pop up every time you hit record to let people know you're filming, although I'm not quite sure just how visible that will be in direct sunlight. And as awesome as they are, they're let down by the limited storage, so you'll need to offload your content onto your phone in order to free up more space. And I was told on more than one occasion that these things had overheated and therefore could not perform, which felt a little bit disappointing. But overall, I am a massive, massive fan. These are awesome. Yay! But before I go, I want to test out these bad boys. Guys, crank it up to 11. So the reason I wanted the band to play something loud is because I was testing out the Flare Audio Isolate Pros. Now, when you're at a festival, the last thing you want is that ring in your ears following the 3rd night in a row of banging beats. So what these buds do is turn down the volume without reducing the quality. When you pull them out, you realise just how loud the music is. They really do a really good job. But don't worry, festival goers, I have one more gadget for you yet. For when the dirty beats aren't the only thing that needs a good clean. That's more like it. The foot pump builds the pressure which allows the shower to work. Oh, it's cold. So clearly it's not going to rival your shower at home, but definitely beats baby wipes. You'll be the envy of the campsite. It's not really the kind of thing that I would want to bring along to a festival, but if one was there on the site, I would definitely use it, because after that, I'm feeling a lot cleaner, a lot more refreshed.
And finally this week, we're in London, where a Ukrainian couple are embarking on a business venture to help those affected by the conflict back in their homeland. We sent Rajan to see how they're getting on.
The war between Russia and Ukraine has been going on for over 20 weeks now. More than 5 million refugees have fled Ukraine, and millions more have been displaced within the country itself. But just here, in London's Earl's Court, in this unassuming building, there's a ray of hope. Because one Ukrainian couple are creating opportunities for some of these refugees in their new restaurant, aptly named Maria, meaning dream. The restaurant is very much a work in progress, but they're dreaming big, and every effort is being taken to evoke the spirit of Ukraine.
So this is the bar area. This wall will look like the wall in old houses in Ukrainian villages when they didn't have proper building materials and they were using straw and clay. So it will be not even. It's a very authentic way how Ukrainians used to build their houses. We arrived to London 5 days before the war started. For us, it was a short work visit, and we had return tickets, which we never used. When the war started, we made a decision to stay here.
And how did you feel at that point? Because you were stranded here and you had close friends and family in Ukraine.
All the time since the 24th of February, you are receiving just bad news, and it's very, very exhausting.
Since they've been in the UK, Olga and Yuri have helped raise hundreds of thousands of pounds for Ukraine through events with celebrity chefs like Jamie Oliver and Tom Kitchen.
That is part of our mission, not only to fundraise, but also to remind the world community about Ukraine through the language of food. So we are giving employment to Ukrainian forest migrants. And then we want to fill the space with Ukrainian energy through textiles, furniture, and all other beautiful things which talented Ukrainian artists are creating.
Undeniably, the main draw is going to be the food, something head chef Yuri is very passionate about. He's even a culinary ambassador for Ukraine. Why is it so important for you that people here and around the world know about Ukrainian food?
I think that food can find the way just in the middle of the heart. Because the diplomacy is always about the brain. You're talking, you try to find some special ways, but the food is coming to heart, and after that in your brain. And you even can change your mind after the good dinner. So here's it's 5 days fermented cucumbers.
Wow. Wow.
And I want to give you some piece for taste. Today the day when we are put it in a can. And so yeah. And
that salt is in here?
Yeah, this salt is here. It's the most popular salt in Ukraine, but now the place where they produce the salt, it's the battlefield.
Right.
Yeah, so the factory is closed.
You just can't get it.
And it's finished even in Ukraine. So when I'm finding it here in the UK, I was happy like a baby, and I buy everything that I can find.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, yeah.
So let me try it. Yeah,
sure.
Such a rich, tangy, lovely taste. Joining me for my bowl of borscht is Dasha. She's one of the Ukrainian refugees who'll be working as a waiter here when the restaurant opens in a few weeks' time. So, Dasha, let's just start from the beginning, really, which is how did you find yourself in England? What happened?
24th of February, the war began. We had to think about the ways to flee the war, basically flee Ukraine, because unfortunately there's not a single safe place in Ukraine. So the city where I was in also got bombed. So my mom just insisted on me leaving.
How difficult is it to do this while you know what's happening back at home?
It's really hard, and I'm on the phone with my mom all the time. I'm always checking the news. I wake up with the phone in my hands, and I go to sleep with the phone in my hands. This is very pressuring, I would say.
Just finally, why do you think it's important that there is this restaurant specializing in Ukrainian food with a top chef? Why is it important to have that here?
I think it's really important to show a culture, because everybody knows about Russian culture, but not many people know about Ukrainian one. So it's really important to show people that we have a deep, diverse culture with different traditions, different food that is really tasty and amazing, and that would be great to show that to people.
I've got to say, I'm struck by the resilience of the Ukrainians I've met today and the strength of their community. And hopefully one day, in the not too distant future, Dasha's family will be able to visit the restaurant for themselves.
Well, that's it for this week. Coming up next time.
Addie visits the Greek island of Evia 1 year after the devastating forest fires that occurred there, to find out if the island's tourism industry is ready to bounce back.
Been sent some pictures of the place that we're on our way to right now. Looks lovely. Looks really lush, green, fertile. But I've been told since the fires have hit this whole area, it now looks very different. Even looking out the window, look at that. Just as far as the eye can see, all you're looking at is burnt trees.
And don't forget, you can catch up on the BBC iPlayer. We're also on social media too, along with a whole host of delights from across the BBC. But until next time, from all of us here in Venice, it's goodbye.